Metalwork appears to have been a specialty in the polished village of Poniati during the 11th, 12th, and 13th centuries. More than 200 metal artifacts have been discovered in the region by archaeologists, ranging from religious sculptures to spurs and pieces of jewelry. Of that whole collection, though, it's the two metal faces that provoke the most interest. One of them, made of liege, shows a smiling human face with its eyes closed, perhaps sleeping peacefully. It was most likely a seal of some kind. The other face, with its shocked expression that's been compared to the famous poster from the movie Home Alone, is made from copper alloy. It's believed that this might have been a belt buckle because of the mounting holes in the face's ears. Nothing similar to this has ever been found in Poland before or since, although they bear some similarity to other ornamental metal faces found on the borderlands of Eurasia. The artifacts were found in 2019 during the construction of new gas reservoirs, which revealed the presence of a settlement that dates back to the Middle Ages. Further archaeological work is now scheduled, so perhaps more faces will be found. 4 years ago, a mammoth skull was found in California, USA, and it's still puzzling historians and paleontologists to this day. The skull was discovered on an island close to the coast of Ventura County and exhibits characteristics never before seen in the mammoth species. The question scientists are now trying to answer is whether the long-dead mammoth had a deformity or whether this is the skull of a transitional species that's never been identified before. The 13,000-year-old skull is too small to be a Columbian mammoth, a species that's known to have existed in this part of North America, but it's also too large to belong to a pygmy mammoth. The concept of insular dwarfism might provide an answer to the conundrum. History and evolution tell us that when animals become isolated on small land areas with limited access to food or other resources, they begin to shrink over a period of several thousand years. We're not saying that's definitely what's happening in this instance, but it might be an easier answer for scientists to swallow than the prospect of an unknown mammoth species. In 2003, British archaeologists opened up a burial chamber in the town south and on the sea and found a tomb so significant that it's been described as the British answer to the tomb of Tutankhamun in Egypt. Experts spent 14 years carefully exploring and excavating the tomb before reporting their findings to the public for the first time in 2019. They believe that it belongs to a wealthy Anglo-Saxon man, possibly a local leader who was laid to rest toward the end of the 6th century. Inside the tomb, the research team discovered crosses made from gold foil indicating that the occupant was a Christian. That would make him one of the country's earliest adopters of the religion because Christianity didn't become popular in England until Augustine's missionary work many years later. The chamber was made from the wood of 13 different oak trees and would have taken a team of around 30 men a full week to build. The presence of a wooden lyre in the grave implies that the occupant might have been a musician. Sadly, we'll probably never know his identity. It's one of only 2 artifacts featuring this design ever to be found in Ireland. The ancient Romans used ceramic pots for just about everything. They used them to store and transport grain, wine, bread, money, and as it turns out, human waste. That's right, the Romans also used ceramic pots as portable toilets, and we know that because of a smelly-sounding scientific and archaeological project that concluded in February 2022. A team of experts has been analyzing crusty material found inside the surface of ceramic pots found at the site of a 5th-century Roman villa in Sicily. Under a microscope, the crust was found to contain the remains of intestinal parasites. The scientists identified the eggs of whipworm, which is a telltale sign that the ceramic pot once contained human feces. The worm eggs had been clinging to the inside of the pots for more than 1,500 years. They got trapped within layers of minerals that formed on the surface of the pot, ensuring they'd still be there for the scientists to find. We're sure you'll be thrilled to know that the discovery is the first time that parasitic eggs have been found inside a Roman ceramic vessel. There's a burial ground in northern France that contains the remains of numerous Stone Age men and just one woman. These people were laid to rest in a monumental cemeteries some 6,500 years ago. What's puzzling archaeologists about the discovery isn't just the presence of the woman, but the fact that the woman was the only person at the site to be buried with weapons. To be more specific, she was buried with arrowheads. Experts aren't sure what to make of both the fact that she was a woman and the fact that she was buried with weapons and surrounded by men. Might she have been their queen? If so, why were none of her people armed so they could protect her? Was she a warrior woman who protected her tribe? Was she viewed as a male by her peers? Perhaps the act of burying her along with her weapons made her symbolically male and gave her the right to be buried alongside the men. Actually, on the other hand, maybe our confusion has more to do with the fact that there's still way too much we don't know about the lives and cultures of our Neolithic ancestors. There are a few things that archaeologists in Egypt get more excited about than the discovery of a previously unknown king or queen. Such discoveries are less common now than they were a century ago, but they're still known to happen occasionally. As proof, let's look at the tomb of Queen Cantacalwas III, which was discovered at the end of 2014. Before her tomb was found, Egyptologists and historians had no idea that any queen by that name had even existed. The queen's tomb was found in Abu Sir and is thought to be around 4,500 years old. It's possible that Cantacalwas was the wife of the pharaoh Neferafri, but it's also possible that she was his mother. Her tomb was found within the pharaoh's funerary complex, so there's an undoubted connection between the two. Even though we can't say with certainty what the nature of the connection was, it's likely that this newly discovered queen was alive at the time the first pyramids in Egypt were built, which is still one of the biggest black spots in our understanding of Egyptian history. The more tombs like this we find, the closer we're likely getting to solving the mystery of the pyramids. Speaking of ancient mysteries set in stone, let's take a look at the enigmatic rock art of Gavestan in Azerbaijan. The collection of petroglyphs at the site is truly enormous, and some experts believe that the oldest of the artwork dates back more than 40,000 years. In some ways, you could look at this as a collection of art that traces the history of humanity in this part of Eurasia from the Paleolithic era all the way through to the Middle Ages. It's impossible to say how many individual pieces of art there are here because experts don't believe they've found them all yet, but it's safe to say that the number is at least 6,000. Many of the pieces are little more than crude drawings of plants and animals, but there are also many representations of humans performing a wide variety of activities. It's thought that the first archaeologist to properly document Gavestan was the Norwegian adventurer Thor Heyerdahl in 1981. He returned to the site 4 times between then and 2000 and went to his grave convinced that at least some of the artwork was created by Vikings. Not everyone shares those views, but there do appear to be similarities to Viking artwork in places. Our next discovery takes us to the Sayed Gazi district of East Kaiser in Turkey, where municipal workers accidentally found a strange-looking ancient sarcophagus during what ought to have been routine excavations in March 2021. The sarcophagus is made of marble that is just 4 inches and 9 feet long and 12 inches wide. Thus far, it hasn't even been possible to say how old a sarcophagus is, although it's reasonable to estimate that it was made several thousand years ago. It's badly damaged, so it's sadly no longer possible to read the inscriptions that once marked its surface. As we can see in these images, though, the sarcophagus is separated into several pieces and appears to come with a separate container for the head. It's a design that archaeologists have never come across before. They're not entirely sure what to make of it. What they can say with certainty is that the sarcophagus is empty, which begs the question of why it was buried in the first place. Is it a symbolic burial? Did someone rob the grave thousands of years, but leave the sarcophagus behind? Sadly, we suspect we'll never get answers to these questions. The Level genre March's wheel is the oldest wooden wheel in the world. That's not to say it was the first wooden wheel ever invented. That'd be ridiculous, but it's fantastically old. The artifact was found in the La Gelana Marsh in Slovenia in 2002. Radiocarbon dating tests carried out in Vienna determined the wheel to be around 5,150 years old. Unsurprisingly, the marsh that the wheel was found in is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The wheel wasn't actually the first historical artifact of significance to be found in the marsh. That honor goes to pieces of old pile dwellings that were recovered in the late 19th century. It's thought that the region has been settled by humans for at least 9,000 years. It's likely that the wheel was one of 2 in a prehistoric 2-wheel pushcart, an idea supported by the fact that it was found with its axle. The axle is made of oak, while the wheel is made of ash wood. Similar designs have been seen on old wheels recovered from sites in Switzerland and Germany, although those wheels are nowhere near as old. Indeed, This is the first direct evidence that the development of the wheel might have happened in Europe and Mesopotamia simultaneously. There are several significant ancient stepwells in India, but until 2014 it was thought that all of the major ones had been found. The discovery of this colossal 5,000-year-old stepwell in Dhalavira shattered that illusion. It's 3 times larger than the famous Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, making it the largest stepwell in the whole country, and raising the question of how it managed to go undetected for all this time. It's 30 feet deep, 100 feet wide, and 70 feet long. Archaeological evidence found close to the stepwell, including precious stones and beads, implies that the giant reservoir might also have been a gathering point for the people who lived close to it. That would be consistent with evidence found at the site of other stepwells. Aside from conserving water and providing easy access to it, stepwells were used for religious rituals and ceremonies, thus explaining the elaborate carvings that often decorate them. Given the size of this one, it must have been especially significant to the Indus Valley civilization that designed and built it. With construction skills like this, it's no wonder they were such a dominant and influential force in the Old World. Subscribe for more videos like this and turn on the notification to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.